Hi, welcome to Mindful Moment Crochet. Today we're going to be opening the Hooks and Needles box. Now this is box number 1, and this is actually kind of a cool box. I've seen a lot of either the crochet box or the knitting boxes, and so this might feel similar if you've seen one of those. However, this is the box that includes both crafts for both crochet and knitting, and so we'll see what is available to us in this box. Now in this box, kind of right off the bat, you see both the knitting and the crochet booklets that are included for us. So taking a quick look, you can see what all is included for the knitting package. So it's a $76 value. It's going to come with the 3 skeins of yarn, our little donuts here. It's going to come with, looks like some needles. Yep, it's going to be the darning needles. And then it's also going to come with obviously the patterns, some circular needles. Looks like we have a double pointed needle here and then a pair of scissors. So very cool there. Now looking at the projects in this box, this month's patterns include a swirl tote, a mug cozy, and a gradient scarf. And then we have 3 different colors, so mustard yellow, ivory, and lavender mist. So taking a look at the patterns here quickly, you can see this first one is that cute tote. It is beginner friendly, and then of course you can access your digital pattern by scanning the QR code. There is a pretty elaborate instructional guide here to show a lot of things, but I find when I'm learning a new skill that this is not going to cut it. I'm going to need some type of video. So I think using that QR code for that information is going to be super helpful. And then showing the bag assembly. The next one here is the mug cozy. This one is rated intermediate. And again, you can get your digital pattern by scanning the QR code. You can see again, it's going to start going into all the different step-by-step instructions, which I think is really cute. And it looks like you get to learn a new fun skill here with the cables and different things like that. It looks like a purl stitch. So if you are super new to knitting, I would stick with the first one. If you know a little bit, you maybe you've done some basic stitching, looks like you could pick up this project pretty easily. And then last but certainly not least, we have a gradient scarf that's rated advanced. And again, you can find the digital pattern and the knitting chart actually is included for this one. You can see again, you're going to be carrying your colors to make this beautiful scarf. In the back here, let's see, it's going to tell us a lot about what some of the knitting terms are, which I think is really helpful. Oh, and this is fun, even a cute little recipe of the month. So there you go. That is our knitting booklet. For crochet, we have the same thing. We're going to have a quick overview of what's going to be included in the box. Looks like with this one, instead of darning needles, you're going to get sewing needles. And then you're also going to get 3 skeins of yarn. Look like these are pretty nice skeins of yarn, valued at around $39. And so looks like we're going to get a pretty decent type of yarn here too. Now looking at the patterns in this one, looks like we're going to get a headband. That's super cute. A rabbit lovey and a woven storage basket. Now looking at this quickly, and obviously you can see here I have 3 skeins of yarn. It looks like you could maybe use one or 2 for this one. It looks like maybe 2 for this one. So you might have enough that you could make maybe 2 of these projects, maybe 1 skein for this one and 2 for this one, if you were willing to use the gray. So this is where I feel like they give a lot of yarn for the projects that are included in the box. Again, so this is going to be a beginner friendly project. You have your scan of the QR code here. And again, it's going to look like you're making some strips and then actually weaving them together, which is kind of cool, into a sailor's knot. We have this rabbit lovey, which is super adorable, and based on what it looked like, they should give us the stuffing for the headpiece there. Again, the QR code if you need it, or if you're like me and like more of a interactive learning experience with a video. And last but not least, here's that basket. Again, this is rated advanced, and then you have your QR code here if you need it. So lots of very cool things in this one as well, and some decent projects to try something different. Oh, and even a different recipe of the month if you're interested in that. I also love this. I'm a big advocate for mental health, and just finding a cool way to relax and unwind. I think we live in a pretty hectic world sometimes, which is why this is called Mindful Moment Crochet. So this is a super cute little inclusion in this one for you to look at. I think crochet is a really cool craft. I am better at crochet. I'm hoping to learn knitting through these boxes. But then even just kind of strengthen my skills and maybe work on some projects I wouldn't normally work on. I'll probably end up making the rabbit lovey out of this one. I'm not really a amigurumi type person, but I'm trying to get more into that just because I think it does stretch my brain a little bit. And this seems like a feasible project to work on. Again, we're going to have the crochet glossary, and that is our crochet book. Now, taking a quick look in here, I absolutely love that all the yarns are presented very neatly. We will start down here on the bottom with our crochet yarns. So I'm just going to twirl these up for us so we can see. So these are all made in Portugal. Looks like we have 50-gram little donuts here, around 92.5 yards. It does actually tell us what size needles we need, but ironically enough, this is for the crochet project, so it doesn't actually have the hook size. So I'm assuming if I were to take a closer glance at the crochet pamphlet, it would, or booklet, it would give me that information. But ironically enough, it only includes the needles that you need. This is a medium size worsted weight yarn, and I think it is very beautiful. I love this blue color, and then the gray is a nice complementary color for that lovey. So excited to see how these work up together. Back here we have our yarn for our knitting project. And again, I think that they are absolutely beautiful. Now these are 50-gram donuts, and they are around 136 yards a piece. So you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck on these. But I do think it's cool that these are from Portugal artisan yarn maker. We don't always get that luxury if you're looking for something budget or at like a Michael's or Joann's. Now, as far as our colors, this one is called Mustard. I almost love this as more of a pumpkin color, but incredibly soft. I think that if you've ever worked with like a super wash merino, you're going to love this as well. This is super soft and lovely, actually. Ironically enough, this actually includes the crochet hook, and this is for the knitting project. So it does have both of your measurements there for your appropriate tools, in case you decide not to use this for whatever reason on the projects that are included in this month's box. So very cool. Looks like my ivory donut wants to come unwound there. All right. Now in the box, it looks like because we have both the crochet and the knitting kit, it actually came with 2 pairs of scissors. So one pair of swan scissors for each box that it was supposed to come in. So if you were to order them separately, you would get a pair in each box. And so I guess because I got the combined set, it included one. So that I feel that's kind. I'm not cheated any. So anyways, so this is a beautiful pair of swan scissors. And I love little eyes in the beak. So very cute. And I think these just kind of elevate the experience of yarn crafting. Even if I'm using, I've had other beautiful scissors before. So even if I'm using like a cheaper acrylic, or something like that, where I'm just trying to, bust out a project, or maybe it's something super soft for a friend and I'm giving it away as a gift, so I maybe don't spend as much money on it as something that I might be wearing myself. This is really cool to just kind of elevate the experience. And these are absolutely beautiful. Next up, it looks like this is the stuffing for the rabbit lovey. Okay, and this makes sense. So this is going to be a 5mm crochet hook for the crochet projects, so they don't make you guess. Oh, this is actually quite nice. So it's looks like a bamboo handle, and it's really lightweight. So this is actually quite nice. We'll see how it works as far as like if I like not having a thumb rest. I'm actually usually allergic to nickel plated things, so the fact that this is a bamboo hook. Now I would say on the larger end of hands, and so this feels small to me personally, but I actually really like the material and I like the width of the handle, which is really nice. So it may or may not work for you long term, but I think to get started with this is a pretty decent tool. All right, up next we have they're calling these the darning needles, but I'm pretty sure these are the sewing needles for the crochet box, if I remember our diagrams at the beginning correctly. So again, they are darning needles and they look like darning needles. So there you go. This is cute. Let's see. Oh, so we have more. Beautiful. I actually like these better. I like the slightly bigger eyes on these needles. I think it makes it easier to thread your yarn into. And since these are both, I know the first one was a worsted weight yarn. I'm not entirely sure without looking what the other merino wool is. Looks like you would use either D3 or E4 if you're in the US, so a 3 to 3.5mm crochet hook. So I'm assuming we are somewhere in the 2 to 3 range there in I guess probably closer to a DK weight. So anyways, I do like having a larger eye in the needles just so that you have a little more room to work through. And the yarn stretches pretty easily to get through the stitches, especially of this size. We're not working with something super fine like a fingering weight or a sock weight yarn. All right, we have a double pointed needle. So I'm assuming if you want to get adventurous enough with the knitting projects, or if you're a little more advanced, you will take this on. Again, I'm personally allergic to these, so I will have to find my own tool to make that work. But that's okay. I guess I haven't mentioned this. My husband is actually learning how to knit and crochet with me, and he's picked up crocheting quite quickly. So now on to knitting, and I'm a beginner, he's a beginner, so we might get to share tools out of this box. And then next up is a US size 4 circular needle. I'm just gonna pop these out of there. I actually really like this length. I usually work with prim needles when I am crocheting. Sorry, when I am knitting. There we go. I also use prim crochet hooks. I like prim a lot, which I might do a review on those in a future video. But I like that this is not super long, but some of them I think can be really short and can be a little off-putting. There's almost too much tension in the cord because it's so short, and so trying to work stitches, especially as a newbie, can get a little complicated. So I actually like the length of those quite a lot. We will put those back together. All right, and then last but certainly not least here, we have some buttons, and I believe that these went on the cup cozy from the knitting projects, if I remember correctly. So those are also included. Overall, as far as general impression of this box, I think the yarns are quite nice. They're probably yarns that I would not normally pick up and use or pick up to buy. I tend to be a crocheter and knitter on a budget, and so having kind of nicer yarns to work with and to experiment with, see how they feel in my hands, see how they feel when they're worked up, even being able to wear some of these if I choose. I can make the scarf out of this one, and I can make the headband out of this one. I think it gives a good example of what these yarns might feel like on your skin. And so if I decided to in the future find a merino wool and viscose yarn, that could be super helpful for me to know what this might feel like or what a future yarn might feel like. And again, this is unshrinkable, extra fine merino wool. And so again, knowing what this feels like, knowing if I want to ever invest in yarn like this long term for a project is a really fun way of just getting exposure to it. Overall, I would say that this box ran me about $40. I think it was $38 and change. I would have to look back at my receipt for it. But I think the value of what you're getting in these definitely outweighs the cost. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's packaged well. I like this little top flap inside the box here. Your yarn flow dreams begin here. And I think it's true. I think it's a way of experimenting with different crafts. I like that even as a pretty avid crocheter, there are some projects in here that probably are outside of what I do typically, and I'm not going to buy yarn for, or I just don't want to find a pattern for it. So having something like the little rabbit lovey is super cute. I might make it for my own experience and then hold on to it for a friend that might have a baby or something like that. But both of these really provide a good option for beginner, intermediate, and advanced so that you don't feel overwhelmed when you're first starting to try either one of these crafts. And I think that's something that's really important to think about when we don't overwhelm ourselves when we're learning something new. So I think this is a cool way to get started with something more than just a scarf or a washcloth or something that's a basic square. I think this is kind of cool on how to work with yarn, create shapes, and have a little bit more of a comprehensive experience with a craft, especially for the first time. As always, if you liked what you saw here, if you want more kind of review videos, tutorials will be coming up. Please let me know, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for next time.